Hey guys, welcome back again to Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof is in the singing. I wanted to go ahead and do a vocal coach reacts to Nightwish. The song is Ghost Love Score, and the vocalist is Tarja Turunen. Now, before we do this, I've seen other vocal coaches already do this, and they'll throw out, oh, she's very operatic, or whatever. I want to discuss what that actually means, because I've studied opera, which is Appoggio and Bel Canto for a lot of years, and to throw a term out there and not explain it to you, I don't think it's going to really help you that much. So hopefully I can give you some information that'll make sense. Let's go ahead and do the song first, and we'll talk about it as we go. Let's rock. All right, cool. Let's get some things out of the way here. First thing is, what a beautiful melody. This is really going. And then they go into a minor key. Right, real beautiful, good, really creative. Like I said, this band, at least the instrumentation reminds me a lot of Trans-Siberian Orchestra, which is really cool. I love that band. Very progressive, metal, gothish, almost metal sort of sound. Very progressive. Now, this term goth comes up a lot, and usually also in conjunction with opera and or darker melodic or metallic melodic goth bands like this. And one of the things I want to mention is when you say someone sounds, oh, that's very operatic, okay? Let's talk about opera for a second. Now, if you notice, she's singing very gentle on the bottom. Now, for you singers out there, stay in there with me in this. This is going to be a really cool history lesson for you, so I think you'll appreciate this. She's really gentle on the bottom. She's not like a metal singer, she's not Lizzie Hale or something like that, and she's not just killing it on the low end, just belting it out. She's real gentle. She uses great mixed voice as she goes up through the passaggio, and then she's, a nice big round vowel sounds. Now, let's talk about those vowel sounds. First, in true Italian opera, we get 5 vowels. That's it. We get a, e, o, and u. Just those 5 vowels. Now, she's obviously singing more than that, so it's not true opera, but here's where it's kind of interesting. If you're to hold to the true tenets of bel canto or opera, Appoggio, you cannot get outside those guidelines. So they have a very strict set of rules of what you're allowed to sing and what you're not allowed to sing. So, would be all she'd be allowed to sing, okay? Now, within the English language, and she's obviously singing in English, though I know they're not an English band, we have up to 25 different vowels that we sing for modern music, etc. Now, let me give you an example of this. In Italian opera, there is no provision for A. Okay, let's do this again. Let's go. I love this, the way I think about this. I go live, love, laugh, look. Like, these are ways I remember all of the vowels that are not in Italian. So, there's no provision for I, like lid or live. There's no provision for a, like laugh. There's no provision for true A, like lay. It's different. There's no true provision for I, like, right? And then like hook. And there's quite a few more. In fact, if you use diphthongs within vowels like joy, oi, or something like that, they're actually compounded, so there's actually even more than 25 different vowels, and I don't want to get into all that. But my point is that there's a lot more vowels in the English language than there are in Italian. So anyway, so she's certainly implementing that. But what I want to say is that's really important to understand that conductors and maestros back in the early days, especially for sopranos, did not want the sopranos to sing the bottom heavy. Okay, so they didn't want Lizzie Hale, they didn't want Pat Benatar, they didn't want, Susan Tedeschi or Bonnie Raitt or any belter wailers in the mid voice, Kelly Clarkson, whatever you're, Christina Aguilera, right? What they wanted was to save all of that and be real ginger and gentle on it, so you could save it for the big money note, okay? So what they did was they sacrificed the belting call register on the altar of this high note, okay? Now, it's exactly the opposite for what they did for tenors. In the case of tenors, they built their chest register, their call register, like Nessun Dorma, in that one note. In Nessun Dorma, that's a B flat, B. Anyway, it used to be the C, and they took it down a notch. But anyway, so in Nessun Dorma, all they cared about for the tenors was to build up a big chest resonance sound for the big money note at the end, and they sacrificed their falsetto, or true high-end reinforced falsetto head voice, and didn't care about that. All they cared about was the big money note. So as you go through this, we're going to do this. I know that was kind of long-winded, but I think it might have been worth your time. I want you to pay special attention to how gentle she is on the vowels, and then I want to talk about how she darkens and covers those vowels in true operatic fashion. So in other words, let's say I'm going to do even legitimate Italian vowels. If I were to sing them in succession, if I were to go right, they're very dark and covered. Now if I go right? I've opened up those sounds and I can add a lot more vowels to them, and it gives me more range as I go. Now it's not as pretty and as round as true bel canto, so you can actually have a percentage of bel canto and a percentage of pop, or pop rock in her case, which is what she's doing, which is really cool. All right, shut up, Ken, let's get on with the song. All right, let's go. Just, you know, a good history lesson if it was worth it to you. Let's rock. Sorry to keep doing this, but this is also important. Now, you've heard me talk about something called contiguous phrase singing, okay? And what does that mean, Ken? Well, contiguous phrase singing means that you hold on to a vowel, you set up the ah vowel. Now, for those of you that have my singing course, I have a singing course called How to Sing Better Than Anyone Else, and I walk you through all of this stuff step by step by step, so it leaves very little room for error or interpretation, okay? But anyway, if you notice, she hung those notes for a really long time. Now, in true opera, again, they didn't really care so much about you understanding the words as much as they cared about you getting the emotion and the passion of what the singer was singing, and they had these contiguous phrases. So, right? Notice how she's contiguously singing a phrase. She's not going, you know, she's not breaking up the phrases. Well, the reason for that is when you understand good open throat technique, you want to keep that vowel open as long as you can so that the back of the throat doesn't close down, and then you have to reseat the ah vowel itself so that each time you sing a phrase, you have to reseat the vowel, find the place in your voice. Now, this is going to help you singers out a lot because you're going to say, yeah, gosh, that makes sense. What does that mean? You know, sometimes I could sing something really good and other times I'm not so good at singing it. Why do I not have that consistency? Well, we build consistency through muscle memory by taking these open throat phrases so that we can always rely and always depend on them, so that as we go through things, even if we do staccato singing or you know, non-contiguous phrase singing, we can actually quickly open up that vowel very quickly with a quick breath. Also notice her breath control. She's got really great breath control and she can hang these notes for a long time without getting winded. Okay, let's continue. Beautiful melody. Right? She's in a chest voice, then she immediately, you know, pops the clutch, puts it into gear, and then goes right into head voice, into exactly what I was talking to you guys about rolling into those notes. Now they're big and round and beautiful, but she's able with finesse to get into those very operatic tones and textures and a vocal timbre up that high. Big audience. See what I mean about Trans-Siberian Orchestra? They have a lot of flavor to that, which is really cool. Chest voice. See how gentle she is on it? Mixed voice. In and out of mix. More chest in it, up high. Nice. Chest. She's real easy on it. Listen to it closely. Nice, beautiful tone. Good pitch too. Point something else out, and it's, you know, it is what it is. Within Bel Canto, and I've talked about this before, I'm going to glaze over this really quickly. Bel Canto is awesome for the foundation of singing, and it's awesome for opera, and it's awesome to implement some of that operatic stuff within pop or rock or metal or whatever, right? Or goth metal. There are a couple of things that I have had to completely rework in my course, loving the foundation of Bel Canto, of opera, but not appreciating some of the effects that it does. And let me explain what I mean. If you notice, she's very pitch perfect. I don't know what her soul and blues is like, and because if you guys want to point something out to me where she sings a couple blues licks where it doesn't sound really stiff, I'd be really interested. Most people that learn opera, they learn their scales very like stair steps. Right? And it's very rigid, very, you know, and the reason for that is they want absolute pitch, and they want to know, right? They want a very, very specific, you know, they don't want any sway in the pitch at all, okay? Now, that's really problematic if you want to sing the blues. So if you notch in your vocal folds or your chords these really rigid stair steps, it's really hard to get out of that and sing a blues lick. So let me explain to you what I mean. If an opera person were to sing a blues lick, yeah, right? That's about what it would sound like if they're singing a blues lick, right? There's no swag to that. Someone that understands warming up their voice instead of singing it in stair steps, you know, la, and having some swag to it and being able to kind of sway in and out of a minor third and so forth, that blues lick would sound like, yeah. There would be a lot more sway and a lot more swag and a lot more forgiveness. Well, I much prefer the second one, the bluesy one, because then you can get in and out of kind of like rolling into notes, you know, diphthong coming off of notes and whatever, and you get a lot more advantage to that as you release and relax to different phrases, and there's a lot more soul in the sound. So if you notice, she's very, very stiff on the sound, not stiff, she's very perfect on the sound, so to speak, in Bel Canto terms. So anyway, let's continue to hear. By the way, killer tone, great pitch, great control, great breath control. You know, so I'm not in any way dissing that. I'm just pointing out the difference between a Bel Canto singer and a blues singer. All right, let's rock. I'm gonna get past the solo because it goes on for a little bit here. Here we go. And before, as this starts to come up again, there's one more thing about this, is there's something called the Indian caste system. You guys probably know this. And it's, in India, there's a certain social class, so to speak. And within this social class, you're not allowed to step out of it. So in other words, once a pauper, always a pauper. You know, once a king, always a king. Once a middle class, always a middle class. And no matter how many lives you get to come back, you're always in that same social status. Well, that's also very true for Bel Canto in opera, where they put you in a specific box or a specific mold, and you're never allowed to get out of that mold. Well, that's actually not true. We can step out of different vocal fox, which is the German term for types, vocal types, and there's 25 of them technically, but actually there's a lot more than that, because we can actually enjoy different percentages of different vocal fox if you understand how to work those vocal fox. I cover all this in my singing course. Let's get back to the tune here. Here she comes. And again, here's the TSO. I love how the audience even knows all the hits. You know, it's awesome, right? Now she's in more of a belt mode now. still in her call register, her belting register. Nice. So dramatic. Head voice. Nice. See me, hand me. You know how she's kind of going into that belt mode. Now notice she does something really cool, and that's also another trick in Bel Canto. She's kind of pinching and squeezing as she's getting some of the distortion out of her voice. Remember how she sang really gentle on it, and now she's kind of ramping up and leaning into the sound a little bit. When you do that, try not to go and squeeze and pinch. Throw a quick H. Hey, 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 hoo, right? Because if you do that, you automatically open up the throat first, and then you can roll into that sound, lean into that sound with a good round open throat distortion. If you do it's gonna lock you down and you're not gonna be able to go back up, free up the voice, open up the throat and get more range or a cleaner tone, okay? By the way, too, one other thing, as I've said in my singing course, if you just sing in a distorted tone like this, the very next day you have to come back and do your warm-ups and clean up the voice, or you will forever sentence yourself to having to sing in a distorted tone to get to certain notes if you don't rehearse or warm up in a clean tone first, okay? Let's rock. Okay, there's a lot of instrumentation here. So, and she, you know, she opens up again here in a minute. But what I want to point out to you guys too is there's other singers that have gone before her, and singers like Pat Benatar, for example, who also had a Bel Canto operatic background. And if you listen to Pat Benatar, it's the same thing. She sings very careful. She's really round on her sounds. And then when she belts out something like "Hell Is for Children," she kind of just goes into, takes the throttle down and goes into a different mode. So she's she's alternating, you know, a belting call register when she does that, which is cool, and then when she does her operatic stuff, she's real gentle on that to step into that role. So it's kind of like having two singers on stage, so to speak, or two different styles of singing on stage. Let's continue. Here we go. See, back to the gentle thing with a little bit of belt. Cool. Nice. Great pitch, man. Wonderfully theatrical. You know, if you also notice, Amy Lee from Evanescence also has a very similar approach, though Amy doesn't really belt like Tarja does. Amy's kind of a little more clean toned, so to speak. But anyway, two thumbs way up, awesome. Definitely. And Tarja, rock star, man, good stuff. And you know, what an inspiration to see someone like this and continued. You know, it's tough to find good talent these days, and it's tough to find originality, and these guys have all of that. So until next time, Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof is in the singing. Peace out. Hey guys, if you like what you heard, please like and subscribe to my channel by clicking on the subscribe button. That will actually take you to another page where you want to click on the bell icon, and it opens up a menu, and the menu has notifications on it where there's a little box you can check where it says send me all notifications for this channel. Check the box and then click the save button, and you'll get notifications from me every time I have a cool video come out. Okay? Thanks guys. Peace out.